Welcome back to another episode of the Dynasty Dingers podcast. Today is June 7th, coming off a big 4th of July weekend. A lot of great baseball took place, and we have a fantastic guest for you guys today. Doc, I'm going to let you do the honors of welcoming him in. What's going on, dude?
Oh man, I'm feeling pretty good, feeling pretty great. I got this Bobby Witt shirt on. Yeah, oh, man, that's our guest, future teammate. I just saw Vinny P rock a bomb, and man, and Kaufman. Oh, geez, Louise, folks, if you hadn't heard his name before, you're about to hear it plenty. Callan Michael Moss.
You gave him the middle name. I love it.
Nice to be here, guys. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, dude, we are stoked, and we started talking before we hit record today, and it's a great entryway into kind of our exposure to you. We were tasked with doing Scout the Stat Lines 1 through 10 prospect rankings through the model, right? And so Scout the Stat Line, what it is, Callan, it essentially takes all the underlying data that we can get and projects players moving forward, right? You're familiar. It's pro ball these days. It's analytic, and I want to say you were seventh or eighth on all first baseman last year in those 22 games that you played. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't have any idea who you were. And Doc and I were breaking you down, and we both said to each other, who the heck is this guy? We got so excited. It was the best clip we created because we were not prepared. We were very amateur about it. Not that we do that anymore. And you got us so excited. And we were, in any league we were in, we were picking you up, and we were like, yeah, we want to say we're some of your biggest fans. So we hope you have a great career, but today's gonna be a great chance to talk.
Absolutely, dude. I appreciate that.
Doc, what do you got to add?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say that just in case. I don't know what Callan's nerd level is, but if you ever play, are you aware of this fantasy baseball niche?
Yeah, I'm aware. A bunch of my boys back home, they're big in fantasy baseball. Yeah, so been around it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we do 30 team dynasty leagues with so that's the simulation. Now you got a whole farm system and everything, and that's where Callan Moss comes into play, right? And so we're doing these drafts last year, and I'm in a bunch of leagues. Let me just read off. So the amount of times I got you on my roster, buddy: 1, 2, 3. This guy sniped me on one league. Then okay. I got added to that league. I got you, bro. And so here's the deal. It's almost annoying to me. I need to. Both Matt and I are starting new careers this year. We're kind of doing different things in the real world. And I haven't been tweeting as much as I have, but I have tweeted about you in the past. And it's like I feel like there was this major value bump. Everyone was like, when you got signed out of the Appalachian League, you had Baseball America talking about you. You had we had Chris Clegg of Dynasty Dugout. I think I got that right. Yeah, he came on. He's another pretty big voice in the industry. And of course, Scout the Stat Line. You were number 8 on there. Even the robots loved you, but I couldn't believe it. I'm like, this guy is huge. This guy's 20 years old. Obviously you're an underdog story. It's funny. The other guy I'm always rooting for is Caleb Durbin, who's like a foot shorter than you.
Oh yeah.
But he's crushing it now. No one believed. So, hey man, I guess I'll just kind of commandeer this thing, and I'll ask you, what was that like? I'm guessing you noticed when Baseball America picked you up.
Yeah, no, it was a shock a little bit. So when I signed, I played my whole summer in the Appy. Kind of went through the whole draft process. I don't know what's going on. I didn't have anyone advise me at the time. I was like, so it's either maybe I get picked up or I'm going back to school. And then we win the Appy championship, and I get a call. Royals like, hey, you want to sign? Absolutely.
Like hell yeah.
2 thumbs up. And then literally I signed it on Wednesday, and that Friday they're like, all right, so you're gonna go straight to low A. No Arizona, nothing. You're going straight to low A. So I showed up in Columbia, and I'm with one of I'm in the dugout because it's a doubleheader, and I'm not allowed to be there in the first game. So I'm chilling, and I go to the locker room, and I meet some guy walks in. He's like, "What's up, man? How you doing?" He's like rolling out his back real quick before his at bat. He's like, "Oh, you're the new guy," and that was it. And then I kind of just played the rest of the year there. And then I saw Baseball America. I was like, that's sick. Like I was never kind of highly touted, out of high school or anything. So it was kind of like a little dream come true when that when that happened.
Yeah,
And
dude, it's an amazing story. Doc, you go ahead.
okay, I'm just gonna, I gotta stop myself because I'm gonna hijack this thing. I'm just thinking as we're going now, though. And by the way, this is my role. I'm the color commentator. I go off grid, brother.
He's our
That
personality,
outline we gave
definitely.
you is a prank. It's gone. So like, but here's what I'm wondering. I'm just a guy seeing 6'3", 225. I'm kind of more the old school scout there. And so I'm wondering, did you have a growth spurt or something? I'm wondering why there wasn't maybe in New York as much coverage on Callan Moss.
Well, yeah. So my freshman year of high school, I was 5'5", 250 pounds. So I was a little bowling ball.
Holy cow!
Yeah, I didn't move very well, but I kind of hit the baseball. And then that year, I was like, I got to get in the weight room. I got to lose weight. So I dropped like 70 pounds, and I shot up 5 inches. And then I was in a pretty good spot after that. And then COVID hit my junior spring, and then it was kind of hard. Like Northeast, we weren't really traveling. COVID hit New York really, really hard, like with all the regulations.
Yeah.
So we were just playing in and around New York and New Jersey locally. I ended up going to Seton Hall, and then that's kind of all I had out of high school. Seton Hall's I had one of my 2 Division I offers out of high school, and that was it.
I wanted to really ask you, right, the growth that you've seen professionally. You kind of talked about high school to college, and then Seton Hall to the Appalachian League would be the considered summer league. Is that correct?
Appalachian or Appalachian? What do you go, Callan?
Appalachian.
Okay.
There we go. This is a big thing. If you ever listen to us, and I hope you do, you don't need to. We're just talking BS. Is pronunciation. So you helping us out is huge, especially me.
Yeah.
You making such a big impact as you talked about your debut in A ball. I think to myself, how could, like kind of Doc said, how could anyone miss you, right? As a real talent. What do you think the big building blocks for you going to college, then doing the summer league, and then making your debut? What were the big things that you noticed about your own game and your skills that improved enough for you to have that immediate success in pro ball?
Yeah, no, I say for starters, I was in the Appy for 3 years. So I played my first year in Johnson City, and I played 2 years in Danville, and I was around. Everyone else around was a big leaguer, right? So my whole coaching staff. Most recently, in Danville this past summer, I had Mickey Tettleton as my head coach, right? Like that's a borderline Hall of Famer. The year before, Desi Relaford was my head coach. He has 13 years in the bigs, and I had Ed Fulton as my hitting coach that year. Florida State legend, played 7 years pro ball. Torrey Pettiford as our third coach. Like that's another 7-year pro ball career. And then my first year, I had Kevin Mahoney, played with the Yankees, coach of the Yankees. Now he's coaching with the Mets in the show. And so I was around guys who they took an interest in me, like they believed in me, and they made that clear. And they weren't coaching me to coach me in the Appy. They were doing their best to prepare me for pro ball, right? And they did a really, really good job of that, and I'm forever grateful to them. I literally got off the phone with Mickey an hour ago, just kind of talking ball. And I've been around these great people where it's like I got to pro ball, I had an idea of what I would need to do to succeed, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, dude, that's incredible, and it's interesting because it's a translation to what I found in life too. Doc kind of mentioned we both made career switches. Not to make this about me by any means, but something that I preach is mentorship in life. Right? At times, we think, I just need somebody to take a chance on me. Right? That's like a general thought that we go through as kids, and it's actually true. People just need to invest in younger generations and help that development. And that's the next question I kind of wanted to ask you was, as you continue with your career, does it help motivate you knowing that people took the time out of their lives to really believe in you and push you forward? Is that a motivating factor?
Absolutely. I think so. I don't know if you guys know much about Northeast baseball, but New York City baseball, it's kind of a dying sport at this point. I think you have to do a lot to leave the city and play, whether it's college or pro ball. And I think the fact that there's so few of us now, it's kind of, we have a culture where it's like we've all pushed each other, right? So before me, I had Richie and Josh Palacios. Richie's with the Rays. His older brother Josh is with the White Sox. Jalen Palmer with the Mets. He's a couple years older than me. Well, Cubs now, a couple years older than me. And now Christian Moore on the show. like that was kind of our little group, and we've had guys pushing us and kind of taking the chance on us, right? Like my junior year, I had the chance to play at St. Leo University in Florida. I was coming off a year where I had 21 at bats at Seton Hall. I think I was 1 for 21. I don't know, most guys in Pro Bowl never hit 0.48 in college. You know, they called me like, hey, here's the deal. We think you can play. We think you can play Pro Bowl. You can help us win. And I think every place I've been where I feel like I've benefited, someone's taken a chance on me. So I think, you know, for me, that's really all I have, right? That's my motivator. And then I got little kids at home in New York that want to be like me now, right? So like, I have to do it, right? It's for them. It's for everyone who's, you know, taking time to invest in me. So yeah.
That's beautiful. I mean, I'm gonna let Doc talk in a minute here because heaven forbid I don't allow the entertainment to breathe through here. But Callan, man, like that's your moral ground is incredible, and you know we will continue to root for you just for that fact. Like what you're preaching is future leadership, and it's what this world needs. It's what the sport needs. It's what your city needs, right? And I think all of us strive to do that in our own way. And you have the potential to be a professional athlete at a big level and make really good money and have a huge impact, right? I mean, that is something I've always said about some of our idols in life is like, you're just given this platform when you're great. It's what you do with that changes communities potentially.
Absolutely.
Doc, I've been talking a lot. Jump in.
Gosh, that was all way too deep, bro. Gracious. Oh, was this guy a Yankees fan or a Mets fan?
The Yankees fan growing up.
Okay, but we don't talk about that after the last year's playoff run,
No,
correct?
not at all.
There's a lot of beef right now too with Jazz Chisholm, and like we're not gonna. By the way, and then egg on my face. I try to get fancy with the middle name. It's actually Michael Callan Moss. Yeah. And so people just went for. Or did you like Callan, or did other people like Callan?
No, that was me. So in kindergarten, I was at 5 years old. I decided Callan was easier to spell. So it's Michael, and it's been Callan since.
Okay, man. All right. Well, you know, it's interesting. So us prospect geeks with those 30-man, those 30-team leagues, you start appreciating every prospect, right? And frankly, if you can find those diamonds in the rough, it can like turn your fake franchise around, just like in the real game. And so, you know, we get to know these, these other players in the systems. In Kansas City, they were building a bad rap, and there's a little window there between maybe after 2020, that World Series has started to fade. And I was a couple of years ago, I started calling it out, saying, I don't know. I think I'm starting to see some bright lights here, some light at the end of it. And now you're seeing them in the playoffs last year. The team's looking sharp. I guess maybe just a broad question. How is, obviously it's the only major league organization you've known, but what can you tell us about the Royals and maybe some of your teammates? I mean, if there's any kind of funny guys or just people that, kind of blow you away what they're doing. A few names that jump off for me, again, I don't know how much you've interacted with each because now you're at high A, but I know guys like David Shields, Wyatt Walters. Those were, some interesting guys in the in the rotation down at low A, and Ramon Ramirez. I'm a big Ramon Ramirez guy. Now you're on the same team as Blake Mitchell, who's got tons of potential, So we talk about these guys. I mean, I was kind of just leave that open-ended for whatever you want to talk about, Royals related.
No, for sure. I'd say for starters, the Royals, they're the only org I know, but they do things the right way, at least from what I can tell, right? They treat you like family. Everything's family here, which is really nice. And everyone cares, right? Everyone knows everyone, and they do a really good job about that. Like, I don't know about other high A teams, but I mean, our major league GM was here, right? JJ was here 2 weeks ago, right? We were face to face with JJ. He was talking, like we mattered, right? I don't know about other minor league teams. I don't know, I don't really know the ropes yet. I'm kind of learning as I go along. But I mean, to me, that's important, right? And I think the guys that we have here, like I've only been in pro ball 9 months, but it's immediately a really good vibe from the guys. Like, I mean, I live with Blake Mitchell. He's next door right now. But no, they're really good guys, and there's some nasty prospects, man. Like Hero, Blake. I mean, Ramon. That kid's like 19 years old, right? And he had like 10 homers right now. I feel like for like a month, it was like every day I saw Ramon Ramirez home run.
He's underrated too, huh? No one's talking about y'all Royals, man.
No one. Asbel Gonzalez has like 60 bags. It's July. That's unreal.
That's crazy.
I don't know. AJ Causey, probably way too underrated in my eyes. I mean, he's 90-92 from pretty much the ground. I mean, he split my bat in half in spring training. Dude, I can go on and on. Austin Charles,
Yeah.
6'7" shortstop, quite possibly one of the best defensive players I've ever seen with my own two eyes. Who else? Obviously, Cags in the show.
So what? I guess I'll jump into that. Well, okay. I mean, if you want to talk about Cags, that by all means, I'm gonna have to cut you off with the most like one of the buzziest names in all of baseball. Geez. So if you want to talk about him, but I'm also curious just to jump on. If you want to circle back to Blake Mitchell, you said you live with him. That'd be kind of interesting to see if you got any cool stories there.
No, Blake's one of the best players I think I've ever played with. We were in Myrtle Beach last year for the Cubs are. That was my first full series. And they were nasty. Like, for me, going from the Appy to pro ball, the biggest difference was the pitching, right? Everyone throws 100. Low A, sometimes they don't know where it's going. So, we're spraying 100. It gets a little dangerous. I think I hit my first pro home run on Wednesday. And then, I want to say it's like Thursday that week, Blake's like, homer. It's like, okay. I probably struck out, sorted on some. Blake's like, homer. It's like, okay. Next at bat, homer. He comes up, he's like, yo, homer. Homer. Well, that kid, he's special, man. Like, I didn't know he was, because last year he was only 19, or 20 when I came to Columbia. And I was like, this kid's 20 years old. He said he hits balls like a man child. And he died. No, he's special. He's going to be in the big leagues for a long time.
Yeah, that's an incredible story, and that kind of feeds into the next question I had for you, which is, you go through this organization professionally, right? Like, you're going to be with some of these guys at each level. Some of them are going to surpass you. Maybe you surpass them, right? Like, it all comes to your development and where you are as a professional yourself. Do you guys genuinely all root for each other? Is my question. Are you all pulling for each other? And I know it might be a little early to ask, as you mentioned, with being, in professional baseball for 9 months, but the guys you've been exposed to so far, is it a brotherhood where you're all pulling for each other to make the show?
Oh yeah. I mean, we talk about that a lot. Like, some of the guys in my draft class, like Carter Frederick, Colton Becker, those are some of my closest friends here. And like, we'll talk about, it's like, like pro ball, it's a lot more like college than we thought, right? In terms of, like, at least here, like, guys really pull for each other. You know what I mean? Like, a lot. Like, we had like Midwest League. I can honestly say it's hard. It's hard baseball. Like, there's a lot of good arms here. The weather wasn't great, first 2 months, and the guys were struggling. But I've never seen there's a point we were all hitting like 180, right, early on, and everyone was struggling, but everyone still pulled for each other. Like, you do something cool, you hit a homer. I mean, everyone's rah. It's like really excited, and it's a great environment. I really can't complain.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And that's, you talked about organizationally, right? Like, being in a family first environment, having your executive level come down and show that support to you, having, we'll just call them what they are in the real world, right? Coworkers, right?
Yeah.
They are your coworkers, they're your teammates, right? Same thing in a team environment. Having that environment is so, I think, key to, being vulnerable and growing, not only as a person, but as a player. You kind of mentioned the transition from A to AA, and you did a great job there, just expressing to us like the weather impact, right? And the velocity change. How much of a difference has the control been? Because you mentioned low A, right? Hey, they're throwing it, but there's some development there. What have you noticed in this season, I guess, so far with control from pitchers?
Yeah, I think this year's been a little different because obviously I have more pro at bats now. I have spring training at bats. We play a lot of these guys in spring training, and it's been, you can tell pitchers have more of a plan now, right? So I guess our game planning becomes even more important. And I've noticed too in pro ball, there's not a lot of fastballs. I think that's just a trend from top down. But like, when I got to the college, you see 6'3", 230, 225, whatever, big man, you probably don't throw fastballs. So I was used to that. And then I got to pro ball last year, and that was in Columbia. It's like heaters. Here's 99, see if you can go hit it, right? And now I've seen a lot more spin, a lot more control. Like, there's been some really good arms. Like, they can locate when they want to. they throw 2, 3, 4 pitches for strikes. I think that's been one of the harder things to adjust to. It's like, hey, like I have to focus on being really, really good with my approach and my plan to be able to hit, as much as I can, right? Like he's going to come out throwing 5 pitches for strikes. What do I have to do to stay on, his sweeper and his 90-mile-an-hour slider? And, oh, wait, now, like, hey, I had a bad week on changeups. So next week I'm going to see a bunch of changeups. I'm going to see splitters. How do I not chase, right? How can I still do damage and still help my team win games,
And I would ask, maybe there's a difference, maybe there's not. So far, between low A, high A, heck, maybe even the appy, as the kids call it. What kind of prep do you have going against these other arms? How much are the coaching staffs at those levels using things like metrics or any kind of scouting reports on the arms the pitchers you're about to be facing? I'd like to go into that a little bit.
They're really good about that. Our hitting coach, Ryan Powers, here in High A, he's our head hitting coach, and assistant, Kyle McKinnon. They're really good at it. Every day, he'll send out our, scouting report at 8 a.m. Our video guys are really good about getting us video, so I can go watch the starter, see what he did last week, see what he's done all season. And then they're really good about helping you formulate your approach, right? So for me, it's like if I like heaters up, right, versus heaters down, what's my chase today, right? He has a vert heater and a slider and a changeup. All right, I'm cool with chasing up today. Or hey, he's throwing sinkers and sliders. I'm okay with chasing in, right? Give him away. I'm going to chase in today, and that's what it is. So they're really good about learning who you are as a hitter and what you like to do. So, and it's just a conversation like everything, Hey, like what do you got on this guy today? And then we go from there.
Yeah, that's an amazing response. You just walked us through all that. I mean, you're talking about professional growth right there every single day. And so my next question then is, right, start of the season, terrible weather. We hear that in the prospect ranks a lot, right? People will give high-end prospects, and then they'll give guys deeper on the lists, give them a hard time for struggles, especially when they play in the Northern leagues or the Midwest leagues. When you're hitting now, July 4th, right? We just passed the holiday. Where is your confidence level? Are you more confident than you were in April? Do you have the same confidence? Do you feel like all of the preparation and the growth that you've been taking this season has given you more confidence? What is your mindset there?
I think this year I've learned a lot about the mental game, right? And I think I've learned how to keep my confidence level high no matter what's happening. Because, like for example, like college, you play 50, 56 games, right? It's 14 weeks and you're done. And you play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, maybe on a Tuesday or Wednesday. Here it's Tuesday through Sunday, and it's a grind, right? You play 132 in a year, and if you're fortunate, you get to play 110 out of those 132, right? So I think for me, I've had to learn how to bounce back a little better for sure. Like, hey, like I went 2 for 20 this week, right? Let's leave that last week. We're gonna go 8 for 20 this week, right? And I think the weather was a little bit of a part of it, but I grew up in New York, so my first high school game was in snow. We used to shovel our own field at Seton Hall. Like, hey, you get that class before 11, come shovel the field. So I was used to it a little bit, but I think you have your ups and downs, but I think this year I've learned a lot on how to kind of control that as best as I can, and stay in the present.
Yeah, Doc, you go ahead. I cut you off on that last one.
Nah, that's all right. We're fighting for time. It's great. We're both having so much fun. Oh man, so, I mean, let's just flex, and I'll follow this up with a question about these numbers. But hey, to all you geeks, all you stat heads out there, you want to hear how good Callan Moss has been? This guy's working. We're gonna make him embarrassed now. Right in front of him, we're gonna read off his own stats. He's got a 20% K rate right now. It was 15% last year, so now he's really fallen off. He's gone up a level and still has elite K rate. What you're really looking for, though, is that in low A had a 22% walk rate, and now a 16% walk rate. And I got a couple questions actually, so that's fantastic. And so 6'3", 225, you see an 81% contact rate in low A, 76. We'll round up 76% at high A right now. And from a guy, of your stature, that's all is completely, it's wonderful to see. So I got two questions. A, how cognizant are you of those numbers at this point? And B, how do you, if so, how do you let it affect you? Do you let it affect you, or you just keep on gaming and look at the stats at the end of the year? And then C, why are you fast now? Why are you stealing? Why are you stealing 12 bases, folks? This guy's huge. I can't believe it. What's going on?
No, I think for me, walking has always been important. I want to say so. My freshman year in college, this is where it really started. I started my freshman year 4 for 41 with 17 punchouts. And then after that, I told myself, I was like, I never want to strike out that much. I never want to chase that much. I hated that. So I spent the last probably 4 years of my career learning how to not chase and walk more. Because I think you got to value that. And now I'm stealing bags. So it's like, if I can walk, I'll steal second, But I'm a little cognizant of it. Like we get reports. We call them our PA trackers. So it'll tell you like, hey, last night you had 4 at bats. Here were, you saw 6 pitches this at bat. This is where they were on the zone. This was a chase. This wasn't a chase. Things like that. I kind of like that. It's good to see that part of the analytics side. Like, hey, good swing decisions make good hitters. So I think kind of honing in on that. I got faster this offseason. Shout out Nicole Gabriel training. I said, hey,
where are they at?
Tampa, Florida.
Nice.
Yeah, so I was like, hey, want to get a little faster. I think as an org, we value running, so why not learn to get a little faster, steal a couple bags.
This is something that 5'5", 250-pound Callan Moss never thought possible.
Not at all. Not at all.
Man. My gosh. And I'll do one follow-up, and I'll let Matt come back into it. But so yeah, just for the folks at home, those are great nerd stats, but the back of the baseball card, the real beautiful stats. 260 average, that's cool, but that 283 OBP is what you're talking about. Goodness gracious, brother. That'll get you, you see Moneyball? Maybe you saw Moneyball. It's like, what is it? What does Callan Moss do? He gets on base. And that's going to get you far, brother. I'm excited about that. So, and what we often hear in the prospect world is, power is one of the last things to develop. And so it's interesting. Like you're crushing it. 6 home runs in 76 games is fine. It's just, especially you're just getting into a major league organization. And this is what I would ask you, and I would ask you if it's been brought up, or how's this process is going. Do you feel like you're hitting as many over the fence as you'd like, or are you approaching this more from a let me make good contact, let me hit this ball hard, and if I do it enough, they'll end up over the fence? How's your approach to hitting home runs?
No, I think so. Organizationally, we want to hit doubles and line drives, right? And I think, would I like to have 10, 15 homers right now? Yeah, that'd be sick. But I think I've always been the kind of guy where I just want to be hitter first, and then hopefully because I've kind of always hit the ball harder than everyone else. Hopefully they'll get over the fence. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. We've lost a couple of the Midwest wins, and that's part of it. But I think as I get through the system and throughout the rest of the year, I wouldn't be surprised if more started landing over the fence in the parking lot.
Yeah, that's a great piece you just put in there, and it kind of builds into the next question I had lined up for you as well, Callan. When you're talking about that approach, as a kid, I used to hear A-Rod in pool halls, right? That's how old I think Doc and I are now. Talk about that, right? The approach. And I always thought it was like, oh, malarkey. They're like, yeah, I just try to hit the line drives. And it's like, yeah, you could get 600 home run hitters there, just hitting the line drives. But hearing you say it as a professional, I believe it. And then, Doc's talked up about your physical stature. Like you have the physical gifts to have that natural raw power. How do you feel as though the success you had last season in that very short period of time, 22 games, right, into this season, do you feel as though the scouting report on you is he can do damage? Be very careful with him. And has that impacted, do you think, maybe some of those metrics, or have you not necessarily noticed that they're being careful with you?
I think I started noticing a little bit more in terms of kind of the pitches I get in certain counts. It kind of feels I've gotten to a point where I'm a little more comfortable now when it comes to hitting and stuff like that. Like in low A last year, it was like, hey, I want to get hits. hitting is hard here. I don't care what
Yeah.
they look like. I don't care if it's a dribbler to third base. I don't care if it's a home run. I just want to get hits, right? Like I was in kind of survival mode, and now I'm at the point where, you jump a level and you have a larger sample size, like different kind of arms, and it's about more. I've taken more of a do damage approach, driving runs. Like I was like, hey, driving in runs is my job. If I'm going to be in the 3 and 4 hole every night, I might not have 20 home runs, but I can guarantee you we got runners on. I'm going to do my best to get them in, right? So that's kind of been my approach now. And, I've noticed like the 3-1 splitters, the 3-0 curveballs, a little bit different. Hey, like 3-2, not a heater count. Like there's no more heater counts, and I've noticed that a little bit over the past, month or so, but I think the other team should be scared. You know what I mean? Pitcher has to beat me. That's the way I look at it. Me and my buddy Sam Kulasingam, another underrated prospect, we were like, we talk about what Barry Bonds says a lot. I just got to beat the pitcher, right? If I beat the pitcher, I'm happy. So if I go hit a ball 110 off you, you lost. Your center fielder might have caught it, but I'm not playing against him. You know what I mean? I'm playing against you. So that's kind of the mentality I think a lot of us have taken this year, and it's helped.
Dude, you're great. You're great, dude. I just want to say that because Doc and I, when we were looking at your metrics last week, when you committed to coming on, we were like, he's got like 56 RBIs or something like that. I was like, how is that even possible? And we were talking about like what we could ask you, and this and that. And I was like, I bet you he has the approach of if there's a guy on base, I'm getting them in, right? Like, and that would then maybe cut into the home run numbers where other guys might be swinging for the fence. I just looked, you just eclipsed 60. You're on pace for 120 RBIs. That's just insane.
And that's a stat that you'll hear. Like a lot of us get fantasy geeks. They're really geeks. Like they love the formulas are cool. Yeah. Well, Royals took the lead just now, by the way, brother. Bases were juiced, and the 7th hitter came up, and I'm not gonna say who it was, but I think it would be cool if it was Callan Moss. Not too long. No, I think that's where the future is going to be. I think you'll start up around there, and then you'll move your way down. But move your way down. You'll move your way down to 9th, and then it's ruthless. But no, but a lot of these guys are geeks.
If he has a long enough career, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of these guys are geeks. They don't care about RBIs anymore. And I would say that a guy like Albert Pujols, even at the end, he seemed like he just had that clutch factor. He just knew when there's guys on base, this is what I'm paid to do. This is what I'm here to do. Again, so yeah. Do you feel? I know I would feel a little something extra when I'm hitting those RBIs. They still matter to me as a guy playing softball with my church league. How about you, sir? Do you like those RBIs?
No, I love them. I think because at the end of the day, I hate losing, right? So if I can go drive in 2 runs and help win a ball game, I'm gonna do it. I'd rather a 2-run double to me is a little cooler than a solo homer.
Well, you'll fit in. Yeah, these Royals, man, they're I know it's been an up and down season so far. And oh gosh, I guess they've been putting you at first base and DH already, which just shows you how much they value your bat, we don't always have the best StatCast readings. It's all private, the how hard you're really hitting the ball at the lower levels. But Baseball America, yeah, they've privately reached out to me. I think it was Jeff Ponce. He said, yeah, good call on that Callan Moss kid. He really rips it. And so clearly you're a bat first guy. Has anyone in the organization talked to you at all about possibly trying out any other position? Vinny P, it looks like Cags is going to be in the outfield. Vinny P's, he can probably rock first. He can obviously rock first. But bringing you up as a DH only is trickier, right? You being able to get regular playing time. Of course, it seems far away, but dude, you keep doing what you're doing, you could be in AA by the end of this year. And when you're in AA, it's always a call away. Have any of these conversations about positional flexibility come up?
No, not yet, or not that I know of. I think we spent a lot of time working at first base. I think outfield's always been in the cards, whether it be college or now. I think it's a possibility. I think the Royals do a really good job of developing defenders. So if that ever happens, I have no doubt that it'll work out just fine. Rusty Kuntz, the absolute outfield GOAT. He does a great job with our outfielders. So nothing yet. If it does, I have no doubt that that transition will happen smoothly.
Yeah, you're fast now too. You weren't always this fast. They might be more. Maybe you're a center fielder one day. Jeez, watch out.
That would be pretty fantastic. And listen, you're doing amazing things. So, we're not going to rule it out. I'm just going to say, don't put too much pressure on yourself, of course.
Absolutely.
Callan, when you think of your long-term goals, and you talked about that confidence level that you hold, and like that's a big aspect of the mental game. And, we've heard that for years as fans. And, even if we're playing in high school, that being preached, which is the mental aspect, is a really big piece in the game. How do you temper yourself and your own expectations when Doc kind of talked about it, right? Like when does the AA come? And, when am I in AAA? Are you just focused on being the best player you can every day and improving where you can?
Yeah, no, I think that's really what it is. Like I'm in high A, right? Guys are in AA, and you're there for a reason. We talk about that all the time. You're there for a reason, right? There's something that we have to get better at here, or you need X amount of at bats there, or hey, I don't know, you got to get better against sinkers, or hey, like we're struggling against sliders. You go to the show, you're going to get slidered, right? Things like that, right? There's always something you can work on when you're, in low A, high A, AA, whatnot. I mean, everyone in AAA, you're pretty much a big leaguer, right? But low A, high A, AA, there's something you can work on, right? So I think for me, it's about trying to be the best guy I can be and get better every day, and the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic answer, and I actually believe you. Unlike some people that may have that statement, that kind of feeds into a very interesting point that I've always really wondered. You being in professional baseball can answer this question. We as fans and as writers often say when it comes to the shift, well, just hit it where they're not, right? But with the way that pitching has improved locationally, the way defense is set up based off that pitching approach. Do you feel as though in an at bat, if you need to hit it to the right side of the diamond to move a guy from second to third, you can do it? Or do you think it's all based off a mistake potentially by that pitcher with location?
I can't speak for big leaguers. I have one big league at bat. Spring training, I have one, so I can't speak for.
You got one.
I got a knock. I'm hitting 1,000 the show.
Yeah.
But I can't speak for those guys. But at least in where I've been, I think it comes down to your approach and if you're willing to lose, right?
Okay.
Right. Like we're in high A. Like I'm not making $50 million a year, right? I'm not at the point right now where I'm playing to make $50 million a year.
Yep.
Right. We're playing to get better and win baseball games. So if that means I gotta, get my nuts on the plate and say, you know what, I'm slapping it to second base. I'm slapping it to second base. Or if it's, hey, like he's throwing everything inside and they're sinkers and they're 99. So what? Like maybe I have to get off the plate and get the job done, right? I think it comes down, again, at least at this level. I think it's whether you're willing to buy in to that and go do it, right? Because you're not gonna be perfect, right? Some guy throws you a slider at 92 on the blacker way, and you're trying to hit the second base. Like there's still a good chance you're gonna hit to the third baseman. Like that's just the nature of it, But
yeah.
More often than not, I think if you're looking to do the job, you can get the job done.
That's great. And I have more of a statement for you before I pass it off to Doc for another question. But, I would encourage you never to lose that mentality. And I say that from a real hardcore baseball fan growing up loving baseball, where as an adult, you like, I'll use Christian Yelich. I'm here in Milwaukee. I grew up a Brewer fan. You see some of the guys that you consider your franchise icons, whatever period of time it might be. And when they do the right thing, sure, the crowd might not get excited because you have a lot of novices in the building for entertainment purposes, but real baseball fans understand that even the superstar on the team or the number 4 hitter, right, like yourself, just did something to help their team win. They weren't focused on the next contract. They weren't focused on the double or the home run. And yeah, dude, if you keep doing that, you'll end up being a fan favorite, and that's a big piece. But that's my little statement. Doc, what do you got for him?
Yeah, man. Let's flatter on one more time here. I'll say, man, this guy just when he started texting back, I'm like, this guy's. I can just tell he's the nicest guy in the world, man. Really cool personality, but you got that chip on your shoulder too. And I think coming up through the Appalachian League, apparently it's regional. My wife's family's from West Virginia, And apparently some people in Ohio will say Appalachians. I don't know. Yeah, it is what it is. But the I just think you got a good blend of that it's kind of like Travis Sikora. He's this tough. I heard some of his first interviews when he was getting drafted. He was like, "Yeah, man, I just love life, and I'm just like really proud to be here, so happy." Then 5 seconds later, he's like, "And I want to make everyone who didn't draft me regret their decision." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, that's it." Okay, he's really polite, really well spoken, really nice guy, but goodness, yeah, you want to have that fiery edge. And you just mentioned spring training. Was there anyone? How was that? Free ball question to you. And then was there anyone where you like, I want to play with that guy one day, or was there anyone who had a certain aura? And man, you also played with Jack Caglione. Did he make you look like? Did he make you feel? Is he the only player who's made you feel kind of small?
Dude,
because you're a big dude.
Cags makes me feel tiny. That's just what it is. So I live in Tampa in the off season now. I went to school down there, so I was like, hey, it's the same warm weather. And me and Cags, we're flying to spring training together. And like the Royals, we do a thing. It's like player orientation. So we go to Kansas City, and then we go to spring training. So I'm walking the airport, feeling good. I'm like, yeah, spring training. I'm in a good spot. They don't know I play pro ball, but like, I'm good. And I just see Cags, and I hadn't seen him in a while. It's been like a couple of months. And what's up, big dog? I give him a hug. It's a little hard because you can't really get around him. He's a big guy. But no, that he's special. But no, spring training was good. I think everyone tells you something different, right? They're like, hey, spring training's this. It's a grind. It's bad. Somebody was like, hey, I love spring training. I use it. So I think my first spring training I really liked it. I think that was the first time that like I've got to do baseball, like practice baseball, 5-6 hours a day, and like just get better. Like I don't have schoolwork. I don't have a test tomorrow. It's like I get to just do baseball, go home, go to sleep, wake up, do it again. So I really enjoyed spring training. I think the cool thing with us at least is I got to see a lot of the big league guys a lot. Like even like you go in the weight room and there's Bobby, right? You see Salvi over there deadlifting the house. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a large human. Or like, hey, I'm in the tubs, and hey, Vinny's in that tub. So I think just being around those guys is really cool, and I think they're all really good guys too. Like I was in, like, I don't know how other big leaguers are, but at least Bobby talked to me for a while, and that was cool. It's like, hey, like that's our franchise guy, and we're just having like a conversation. And it was one of those things. So I really enjoyed it. I think getting to be around all the guys in the system, some of the guys in the show, and then all of our coordinators and the brass up top. It was a really great experience.
I wanted to ask you, and I'm going to respect the simple fact that you're a professional and you're an organization with these people. So you answer how you feel here. When you talk about the exposure you have to the big leaguers, right? And you talked about just Bobby having a conversation with you. Is it an odd dynamic? Because at the end of the day, you've got professionals and you've got those in the minor leagues who could potentially take their jobs, right? Like there's no way around it. It's almost like drafting the first round quarterback with a Hall of Famer in the pocket, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel like there is not like friction, but maybe social awkwardness in a professional setting, or is it not like that at all? Are those pros not worried about you guys taking their jobs and they're nice and they're willing to have conversations?
Yeah, no, I mean, from what I've seen, they're all great guys. Like you get around them, you have a conversation with them. I know I got there pretty early for spring training this year. Earliest report was like last week of January, and I was like, hey, it's my first year. I should probably go there early. So I was around Nick Lofton a lot. He was there early, just getting work in. We'd take ground balls, hour a day, and we just talk, right? And he was a normal guy. And he took his time out of his day to like have a conversation with us. It's like, hey, like, how did you like Quad Cities? Or, where do I go eat in Quad Cities? Things like that. Like, what was the biggest jump for you? Like, hey, what are you thinking? These kind of arms. Like, so to me, they've been great. I've only been around them, so much, but so far it's been really nice.
Yeah, man, we're all humans. Like that's the truth. I worked in hospitality most of my life, and we just moved from Las Vegas, big time restaurant, and that was something that I learned, and it was one of the best experiences I think I could have gotten from life, which is just we all are humans, whether we're celebrities or athletes or podcasters or bartenders or project managers or we work for the government. we're humans. And like, if you can get through that as a human being, it helps you have conversations and whatnot. So I think that's really cool. You talking about you and Nick. Doc, why don't you jump in? I know you wanted to say something.
Well, yeah, I mean, you mentioned Quad Cities there. I actually drove by that stadium one time. It's in the middle to many Americans, it would be considered the middle of nowhere. Yeah, I believe that's Davenport, Iowa.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like in Iowa, they're like, "Oh, it's a big city." Honey, Davenport. But everyone else is like, "What?" But you came from New York, New York. You came from the city. I've actually never been in New York City. Yeah.
It's sick.
What'd you say?
You got to come by, man. It's a good time.
Yeah. Okay, well, this is where I'm going with it, though. So these are the places you're going to stop at in theory. You've already been at Columbia, that's South Carolina.
Yeah.
So that's like, okay, at least that's like on the same kind of highway down from New York. But now you're Quad Cities, and next stop would be Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah.
And then it's Omaha, and then even Kansas City itself. Like, you're going to be a middle American, brother. How is the adjustment going for you? What are some of the biggest differences you like and don't like? And is the Kansas City barbecue, have you tried it yet?
I am. I have. I like the Kansas City barbecue. I'm a big fan. We were in Kansas City 3 days. I had barbecue every day. Big fan. And Davenport's not bad. I've been around the Midwest my whole life. My dad's family is from Indiana, so he lives in Indianapolis now. I have family, Chicago.
As we spoke about, Indiana, brother. That's where my babies were born. Indiana. That's where I married my wife.
317, baby. But no, the Midwest is cool. It's funny enough, one of my roommates from college, he lives across the street from me now. So funny little coincidence, but it's a change of pace. I'll say that. Change of pace. I can't go get a sandwich at 11 o'clock at night. Things close earlier. But no, it's not bad. Just Quad Cities. It's a nice little cute Midwest city, and I really like it. It's been great so far.
Yeah, well, and both of us, Doc and I, both have exposure to the Midwest. As I said, I live in Milwaukee now, and my wife and I moved back from Las Vegas and the West Coast. We had spent some time in California. It's just a different vibe, and you kind of talked about that a little bit. Slower pace. People are different, right? Coming from New York, people in the Midwest, when you stop and have a conversation with them, they don't really care what you do.
Yeah.
They might in a little bit care what you do, but they give you just their time. And I think that's something special too, talking kind of about, who you end up becoming as a professional player and the impact that you have with that influence. Next question I wanted to ask you, you talked about
I'm gonna alpha dog you here, bro. I'm gonna alpha dog, and I got to come in here because it's just too good. It's too good of a segue. I was gonna say of a leeway, but that's not the right word we'd be using. And so I was just I was thinking to myself, I wonder, and this is not a question you might know, Callan, but I wonder how much it trickles down. And you will probably learn this more as you see other big leaguers more often from different teams. But, Kansas City, these guys spend a lot of their time in the Midwest, and they came up the same path you did. I mean, heck, Kansas City's got a really homegrown roster. Yeah. They don't go out there getting splashy with it, right? I'd have, even if it's still good in a different way, I have to imagine the Yankees or the Dodgers, with their big names they bring in these big cities, it has to be a little different. Maybe it's good different, but maybe it's different. So I think that's kind of interesting, man. Maybe that's my little hypothesis, and you can take that or no comment that if you want. But I'm wondering if maybe that's what you got a guy like Bobby Witt and Vinny P. These guys just seem chill.
Yeah, no, I think they are, and I think I've noticed this too. Like I've had. Like this offseason, for example, I had the chance to train with Vladdy. I had the chance to train with Teoscar, Jordan Leisure with the White Sox. Aaron Sanchez looking to make a comeback right now. Toronto Blue Jays legend, right? Like, who else? Randy was there for a minute. I don't want to leave anybody out. But, yeah, like I had a chance to be with them a lot in the offseason, right? And I noticed those are all established big leaguers for the most part, like all-stars, and they're just regular guys. Right? Like me and Aaron Sanchez, I'd be taking live at bats, he's playing catch, and then we're just chopping it up afterwards. Like, yeah, like we're eating tonight, Vladdy pulls up, we're just talking. Like, I like your shoes. Oh, thanks, dude. Practicing my Spanish with him. Like Teoscar was great. Like he brought me 3 boxes. He was like, I don't know what you need. I don't know if you have an agent. I don't know if you have a deal, but here's a box of shoes, a box of batting gloves. Here's a
That's
box.
so cool.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Awesome.
so, and those are, I mean, LA, Toronto, right? Like those are big cities, big name guys. I mean, they're getting paid. But no, they were normal guys. And I think that at the highest level, that's what it is. I think, the guys that people might think are, assholes for lack of better term, are the guys that aren't, they aren't there,
Your agent's gonna tell you not to say that when you get to ESPN. We're good here.
It's good to hear. Might get a call later tonight.
No, it's a good segue because that was my next question for you, Callan. You talked about the agent a little bit earlier, and we've talked about your growth, right, and in your path. What is the relationship like with your agent and someone that I'm imagining isn't with one of these big LA sports agencies? I might be wrong, so correct me if I am. What's the relationship like in having someone that believed in you when you were in a professional state that wasn't a number 1 overall pick or a first round pick? How does your agent help you, and then what does that relationship look like?
Yeah, no. So funny enough, I signed with no agent, right? My first 3 weeks of pro ball, no agent. It was funny. So obviously from New York, my mom, she's been in New York 40 years. She's kind of like me. She talks, she meets people, she has connections, connects with people pretty easily. And she was kind of calling her friends like, hey, like, do you know anyone who's a sports agent? Like my son's about to sign this contract. Probably needs some kind of representation.
Mom looking out. I love it.
No, literally. And we had a couple phone calls, and they just weren't the right fit. Some of the bigger agencies didn't want me. Fair, I get it. I might not have wanted me either with no stats, with nothing, But I signed with Beverly Hills Sports Council. In my opinion, the best agency in baseball. And my agent Dan Roschetti, we're on the phone. He's like, "Here's the deal. I believe in you. I think I'm going to stick by you. All I ask is, we do things the right way. You stick by me, I stick by you." And I was like, "Hey, man, that's how we do things, right? At least in my household, like that's what we've done my whole life." So he took a chance on me, and he's just another one of those guys that like has pushed me to get to the place I'm at and want to be at. And so I owe him a lot too, right? It's like we talk all the time. Like I texted him the other day, we go back and forth. I texted him about this. I was like, "Hey, it's like this is a good pod to hop on." But it's cool too because he has clients that are bigger than me, but treat me the same.
Have you seen the movie Jerry Maguire?
I have.
Okay, I ask not a disrespect. It's just I'm getting older now that I'm 33, and I'm like I lose track of what is time relevant, right? I mean, dude, that matters. That matters to matter, right? So like to have somebody take the time and like actually care about you, and hopefully for you and for him, it's a very fruitful relationship you guys have for a long time. But that's cool. I'm guessing Beverly Hills, California. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
In California, agent stationed around. It's actually the oldest baseball agency around.
Really?
Yeah. They've been around 40 something years now.
Okay.
Baseball only. Really great team over there. Take us out to eat and spring training. Talk all the time. So it's nice. And we have a bunch of Royals guys too. So it's like a mini family inside the Royals family.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got an Italian last name. What's up, man? You're gonna feel okay, but you're from New York, so you've been around the Italians before, haven't you?
I have. Yeah. No, one of my best friends from home, fully Italian. His we used to go to a restaurant in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. His grandfather, rest his soul, used to have he had a menu item, chicken a la Joe Perry. So now I'm Brooklyn Italian through and through.
JJ Piccolo, they got I'm noticing they got this is a whole, and I'm just saying there's a mob presence in Kansas City. So I don't know, starting to wonder. They got to move on up. They got to start. They got to move it up though. They got to start I'm not. I was gonna make some kind of joke about the umpires and paying them off, but we're not gonna do that on this podcast. We don't want to do that.
It's a
That's
sensitive
what the real
it's a
mob would
sensitive
do.
time.
I guess that's what we'll say. What's that? It's proof that the mob's not running KC. There we go. Okay, I wanted to ask you. We're taking a lot of your time. It's been a friggin' amazing podcast, man. Having a blast.
Well,
And I will, in case Matt has one more, I'll say this will be my last one. Man, we had Connor Griffin's dad on, and so we got the magic touch. After we had Connor Griffin's dad on, now Connor Griffin's looking like people are thinking he's the number one prospect. I'm just saying, maybe you're the next number one prospect in baseball. No pressure. But one of the best things about it was the very end. We said, "Hey, man, was there any formative stories? It doesn't have to be a crazy story, just." And he ended up telling us something from Connor's youth when he was in a go-kart accident, I believe it was, and
It was
basically
crazy, dude.
he almost lost his eye.
crazy.
Almost lost his eye. He went to this spike went over here or something like that, this close to his eye, and he had to go to the hospital. And he kind of came to, and the first thing he said to his dad was, "Hey, am I going to make it to the baseball game today? Because I need to crush it." He's just thinking baseball. And I guess maybe part of the question can be, to help you out if you don't know what you're going to say. It's anytime, was there a point when you thought, this is the sport I love out of every sport, and this is what I want to do the rest of my life?
Yeah, no. So for me, it's always been baseball. For one, my mom still has videos of me running down our hallway with my Yankee uniform on at 2 years old, right? But I want to say it was my freshman year of high school. I was playing on this travel team, and the coaches went to my mom. They're like, "Here's the deal. He's never going to play college baseball. He's never going to play pro baseball. It might be time, look at another path." So I'm 14. And I kind of broke down a little bit. And then she looked at me and she's like, "What are you crying for? Grow up. You just want to do it." So kind of from then on, that's kind of when, I took off in a sense, right? I got in shape. Thank God I grew. Might have been a little hard at 5'5". And then this was it became my passion more so than ever, and it was all I did was baseball, right? I missed trips, hanging out with the guys, and I kind of dedicated for about probably 4 years. It was just baseball. How can I become the best baseball player ever? So I think that's probably my most formative moment. But yeah.
Oh gosh, that's awesome. Mama Moss came through, brother. She put the big pants on. She has you in every fantasy league for sure. Man, more than me.
She definitely does.
No, dude, that's an amazing story. And I hope that if times ever get challenging, right? We talked about your box score. It looks good right now. Everything's looking, your career's going upwards. I hope that that's a reminder, right? That moment freshman year, and that confidence and that leadership your mother told you, that's the kind of stuff that helps you stay mentally strong, right? That you can lean on and you can remember the emotional impact of it. I got a much less storybook ending for you. I just got a simple question. When you think of talking about running down the hallway at 2 years old and being a baseball fan your whole life, who did you idolize, or who did you form your style as a player off of growing up?
Yeah, I think so. I think being a baseball player, obviously, it's half of it's the skill, right, the talent, and how you play the game. But another part of it is how you treat people and stuff like that. So I think in our house, at least my mom was like, she always used to say, "Do you want to be Derek Jeter or do you want to be Alex Rodriguez?"
Damn.
Right. And it was, I know, and I liked A-Rod growing up. I really did. He was sick. He's with J-Lo. I was like, yo.
Yep.
Awesome. But he was in the press negatively, like you see on the New York Post in the mornings, and she's like, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be remembered as? Right. So Derek Jeter growing up, that was my idol. I had him. It was him going up to the plate in 2009 above my bed for probably 10 years till I moved out of home. But from a play style. I got the comp that I was a mini Frank Thomas when I was like 15. So I was like, I said that'd be pretty cool. I like guys like I always like the underrated guys too. I don't know why. I try to be younger with Solarte for like 3 years of my life. But no, Frank Thomas. Still love Vladdy. Being around him is even cooler. I was a big Mike Trout fan, but I was never going to play center field.
I mean, listen, Doc's pushing for you, so who knows?
Never say never.
No, and probably Derek Jeter or Mark Teixeira though. Those are my guys. I got the chance to meet Mark Teixeira in 2008. At Yankee Stadium, they did a thing where like travel teams got to come to the field and play catch and all that. And he's a first baseman. I was like, yo, this is my guy. So yeah, probably Mark Teixeira, Derek Jeter, Frank Thomas. So if I can be anything like those guys, I think I'll be in a good spot.
Yeah, dude, heck of an answer. And I've seen enough of your clips. You're more fluid than Frank. Frank's also a Hall of Famer, or going to be. I lose track because I'm getting older, so I can't remember who's in which class. But Frank's a good dude too. I think he's still living out in LA because of Fox Studios. But character is everything, right? That's what you're remembered on, and you talked about it. Like that's what your mother instilled in you. There's a reason for that, right? But dude, I'm not going to keep you anymore. This was awesome. Thank you for coming on and showing us who you are, talking us through, right? And I think that's for our listeners and the fan base, hearing it from your level, and hopefully, looking back on it a number of years when you're in the show, really gives people a great understanding of who you are, what it takes as well, and every step is a growing block. So I'll pass it off to Doc to say goodbye, but thank you.
Thank you.
That's the single tear goes down. That's beautiful. That's poetic. Man, here comes the showtime, bro. We're having this guy on the show. Hopefully this game doesn't end terribly, but 6-2 Royals. Bobby's hitting bombs. Everyone's Noah Cameron out there. He's looking like a stud. I'm right there with you with the underdogs, brother. By the way, I think you might have sent yourself to the Appy route, though. If you had maybe wanted to not be such an underdog, you would have been like a D1 guarantee. But maybe you self-prophesize yourself to be an underdog. Love your story, brother. Like I said before, you got that combination of high character, from what I can tell, high character, but you got that competitive drive. Literally, as I'm saying this and pounding my fist, Sal hits a home run. Dude, the Royals are crushing it. The good vibes are here. We're looking at, the Royals fans probably, when they're done here in this podcast, they're going to say, Callan Moss, do you speak outfield? Because we want you right now. We want to go on a World Series run. And honestly, they're not too far off, brother. I think by the time you're up, they're going to be ready for it. We wish you nothing. I wish you nothing but the best. I think Matt as well. God bless you, brother. We're going to be praying for you. Is there anything you'd like to say before we head out?
I mean, thank you guys. This was great. I had a fun time. I really like what you guys were doing. I've been seeing on the Twitter now recently. I think you guys are bringing some light to some guys, and you did it the right way. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Doc, send us out tonight.
Yeah, I'm your Huckleberry.
See you guys next week.